Hey, all right, shalom, shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Wadash. I want to say and give double honors to the apostles and the bishop elders of Great Millstone for teaching us this word in truth and sincerity and for ruling well. And salutations to my Akim, my fellow Akim across the four corners of the globe, preaching and prophesying in the name of Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai. Shalom to the elect. Lord willing, we're some of those men and women who fear and believe in the name of Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai. Hey, I'm the brother Gabar Yahweh from GMS Hawaii, coming to you with another quick lesson. And it was inspired by this video that you see right here in front of you. I came across this video earlier yesterday. And, the title alone kind of like stood out. And it just shows you, how Trump, at one point in time, he was so-called anti-CBDCs, which is central bank digital currencies. He said that cryptocurrency was a scam and that, basically couldn't be trusted. And then, like, soon as he get back in office the second time around, his whole stance has changed. His policies, the people that he has in his cabinet and that are around him, they're all pushing for this new digital revolution, particularly here in America. And, they're trying to be the leaders of it, right? America is the leader of all wickedness, right? So all these different nations, they drink of her wine. So what they got going on now, you got Trump's son, Eric Trump, was in Hong Kong, and he was, sitting at this group, and he had this to say about his father. So what I need further to do, let me play this real quick.
Biden was totally incompetent. All of a sudden, he's changed the trajectory of America 180 degrees, and he did so instantly. The second he got into office, he embraced the digital revolution because he understands that that's the future of finance. And so we went from 0 to 100 instantaneously. I mean, I think in terms of America, I think we've made more progress in terms of digital assets in the last 7 months under his presidency than we probably did in the 10 previous years. Biden was totally incompetent. All of a sudden, he's changed the trajectory of America 180 degrees, and he did so instantly. The second he got into office, he embraced the digital revolution because he understands that that's the future of finance. And so we went from 0 to 100 instantaneously. I mean, I think in terms of America, I think we've made more progress in terms of digital assets in the last 7 months under his presidency than we probably did in the 10 previous years.
So yeah, there you have it. I played it twice. So this man, he fully embraced the digital revolution. And this is something that all different major nations, especially economic Edomite nations, have been talking about. And not just Edomite nations, pretty much all of them, right? Even the so-called third world ones, right? Nigeria, Jamaica, right? South America, different countries within South America, even the so-called BRICS nations. They're all working on digital currencies, either as a nation by themselves or as a conglomerate, like the BRICS nations. And so the EU, the UN, they're all playing these roles. And so you got to ask ChatGPT certain questions because their job is to refute the idea that an RFID microchip is going to be used as the catalyst for this global reset. Well, it's not even the catalyst. It's actually going to be the climax of this global reset. And the global reset is coming. Okay? You see, they don't invite the average Joe into these conversations, but the information is out there. And the men of the Lord, starting with the apostles and the bishop elders of Great Millstone, the brothers on down, we're constantly watching that. We're watching these things because these things are written. Now, how it plays out, how it's manifested, it's up to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, but ultimately it's going to be, well, his word is going to be done. He said his word don't go out void. All right? And this man, like I said, this man, President Trump, Donald Trump, he's embraced the digital revolution. He's not against the digital revolution. He's not against CBDC. He talked all that smooth jazz before he got back in the office. But as soon as he got back in the office, what did he do? He surrounded himself with technocrats, right? He surrounded himself with the highest level of digital and economic individuals that could advise him on his new plan. And what they hope and what they want is America to lead the way. See, in a new system, America is not going to be what it is today, right? In the new system, it's supposed to be super global, the super elite. They want to have everybody enslaved via this digital all, which is the microchip, and in their system, the whole system is going to be a system that's easily tracked and traced. And they have set the infrastructure up. They're still working on infrastructure, and ultimately, once their infrastructure is completely set up, something's going to happen, and it's going to force all these nations to change up the way that they do finances, and they already ready for it, right? They had these big, what they call them, think tanks that put this stuff together. They spend millions and billions of dollars to research, to test, all of that. Right? See, because when we say microchip, people just reduce it to just the chip, right? But the chip is going to be encompassing multiple things. And right, they're pushing everything digital. Your ID is digital, right? They're going to start phasing out physical cards for your ID. They're going to start phasing out credit cards, debit cards, those type things. They're already phasing it out. Through what? Through contactless payments every damn where you go. A lot of places don't accept cash anymore. That's not by mistake, right? You got a country like Sweden. You got a country like Sweden where the people have been accepted the chip. So basically, like, I believe Sweden is completely cashless, right? I could be wrong, but let's look it up. Is Sweden completely cashless, right? Is Sweden? It says no. Sweden. It says no. Sweden is not entirely cashless, but it's predominantly cashless. But it is a predominantly cashless society with massive shift to digital payments like cards, mobile apps. Though cash is still used in small percentages of transactions, the central bank advised citizens to keep cash for emergencies, and there are some push for new legislation to require certain businesses to accept cash to ensure societal resilience and to prevent financial exclusion, especially due to geopolitical instability and cyber threats. And that's another thing. They using financial inclusion, right? Sweden's cashless U-turn driven by war threat, says central bank governor, right? But anyway, there's a video. I'm going to play this. Let me see if I can find it. Swedes take microchip. Chip, right? Swedes take microchip. And this is from 6 years ago.
About Hannes Sjöblad.
And this is from Al Jazeera English.
The most cutting-edge thing about Hannes Sjöblad isn't the phone in his hand. It's the microchip actually in his hand. The tiny implant is the latest advance in a biohacking technology that is steadily becoming a part of normal life in Sweden.
We have created a new implant, which is not a chip, it's a full device where you can add different lights, different...
He said it's not a chip, but it's a full device. So basically, you can what they call it, you can church it up. Basically, you can put lights and shit and colors on it. But it is going to be a chip, and it is a chip.
Vibration, different functions. Sweden is a very tech-literate society, and I think this is the main explanation, really, why a lot of Swedes are adopting chip implants.
Swedes haven't been shy about upgrading themselves with the new version.
And they're making it fashionable, right? Upgraded. They use terms like upgrade, right? A more convenient way.
Thousands already have microchip implants that they use in their daily lives, waving their hand to gain entrance to the gym, confirm their ID, or make payments. A short moment of pain not putting them off becoming part Swede, part machine. This event is an implant party, simply where ordinary people can show up and get a microchip
And not
embedded
ordinary people.
under.
There it is. That's the RFID microchip. That guy said it wasn't a chip, but it is. It is a chip. See, people think of a chip, the flat version. No, it's that right there. That digital all spoken about in Revelation chapter 13, verse 16. And he calls of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark. That word there for mark is charagma, which goes back to charax, in their right hand or in their foreheads. And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name. Salakia. Or that he that had the name. Salakia, let me read that again. And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of the name of his name. So you, in the new system, you're not going to be able to buy or sell unless you got this. And the chip is going to be connected to the system, right? To the digital system that they're creating. So how else they going to track you? They ain't going to just track you by your phone. They ain't going to just track you by your ID card. This going to be, something's going to happen within these years. We in 2025. It's about to be 2026 in another 3 months, right? Because what is it? September 1st is Monday, actually, right? So we like the Elder Mwatazak said, we in the fourth quarter, right? And 2030 is their year. For some odd reason, 2030 is a year that they hope that this whole system is already set up, and anything can happen. Any existential economic crisis could happen, and it'll warp speed this to becoming a thing for the whole world. And it's already written, right? It's already written in the scriptures. We just read it.
Their skin. The biohacking movement in Sweden is hosting them all over Europe, but it's at home where they get the most willing recipients. Felicia, Father Magnus, still bear the scars of their new implants.
He got it in his right hand, she got it in her left hand. And it don't matter. Whatever hand you get it in, you're going to be destroyed. See, these are Edomites. These people, they're so-called what do they call it? He said techno-literate society. Sweden is a techno-literate society. But this is going to be the new way. This is what John saw. And he saw people standing in lines waiting to get it. Because people are going to be in such horrific state. And the economic system is going to be, this current economic system is going to be imploded. What they call it? A controlled demolition. And it's going to usher in this new system quick. They already, they testing it out in countries. This is a 6-year-old video. And when this video came out, we were speaking about it then.
Student Hannah Herving is also freshly chipped and now just needs to program it to open doors. Although, importantly for a future career, it does already connect to her LinkedIn.
Some people say I'm mad that I don't know if it's safe and all that, but people have been putting these chips into animals for 20 years. So,
and that was a test thing. That was a test. And what do they use it? What do they use it for animals for? They use it to track and trace them, right? They may not know exactly where the dog is if it ran away, but if it's found, they have a scanner that scans the back of the dog's neck or wherever they put the chip at in the dog or cat, and it has the owner information, it has the dog's information on it, and it's associated with a number. And that's the same thing was going to happen with you regular people, right? You're going to be the new animal, and you're going to be tethered to this new system via the RFID microchip. Okay? This whole digital revolution, that's what this is all about. Right? It ain't about using credit cards and just contactless payments or what is it called? I was gonna say bio recognition, but it's a word for it. That could be the word, if not Salakia. Like, just using your face or your eyes, retina scans. Nah, Nah, they're not gonna go that far with you, right? They're gonna chip everybody, right? That's what they want. They want to chip everybody except the elect, but they want to chip everybody, right? And these different countries that they apply it in, these are nothing but testing grounds. That's all it is. And these are Edomite lands, so they hope to get the best out of it. But ultimately, you're gonna be a slave to the new system, right? That's what you're gonna be. And especially if you're an Israelite, so-called Negro, Latino, Native American, similar anybody that go back to us, you're gonna have no place in that system. You'll get chipped, but you'll get nothing. Like what did Carl Schwab said, you will own nothing and be happy. So you basically a slave. Slaves don't own anything, and they just expected to be happy with the little bit of work that the master give them. And these super banking elite families, they want to be your true masters by controlling you through a digital system. Okay, listen to this real quick. I got this video right here. Central bank secret plan to control you by 2030. It's already begun. Right. This is from Tucker Carlson Network, and he was speaking to Catherine Austin Fitts. I know brothers are very familiar with her.
All under surveillance, not just by governments, but by... Think of each one of us. We're all under surveillance, not just by governments, but by corporations who are trying to do something. And it may not be anything nefarious. So 80 different companies are trying to sell you something, or 80 different companies are trying to get your data for some reason. And so they have AI and software bots that track you and follow you and learn from you and try and influence what you do, because they're trying to extract some kind of value from you. And literally, think of, being attacked by a swarm of bees. We're surrounded now by a swarm of AI software bots, all trying to learn from us, extract something from us, or get us to do something. Now, when you go to an all digital system, then there's no escape. And then they can start literally to enforce rules. They do now. So
And that's what the new system is about. It's going to be highly restrictive, right? Highly monitored, right? And you're not going to be able to buy or sell unless you have it. You ain't going to be able to be a part of the system unless you have it. Okay? And this is what Yahweh Basham Shah is warning us about. Because ultimately, that's going to be the sign for you to be destroyed. Because you line up with this beast. This is the book of Revelation 14 and 9. Revelation 14 and 9, it says, doom for worshipers of the beast. Right? Worshiping that beast system. And it's not talking about Christianity or sleeping with the white woman or any kind of simple ass shit that these false leaders put out there to the people. It's talking about that digital all we were just looking at. It says, Revelation 14 and 9, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast in his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, so it don't matter which hand, right? That word, I think that word hand goes to dextrose. That word hand, his forehead or his hand? No, it's not dextrose. It's
Strong's G 5495. Chayr,
which is what? The help or agency, the created, upholding, preserving, punishment, determining, controlling destinies of men. And that's what this man wants to do with this system. He wants to control your destiny. Let me see. I thought that went to dextrose for hand. Did I hit the right? Yeah, I hit the right. Hair, which is what? Hand, and it goes to two words, perhaps the base of Himon, which is what a winter's term. Nah, that ain't it, Chief. But nonetheless, let's keep on reading. It says, I thought it went to Dexter. I don't know where. Anyway, the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast in his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High. Because that's what's coming behind that. You think you're saving your life by aligning with this man and his system out of necessity, out of want, right? Out of wanting to be a part of his new system. He's going to convince a lot of people to do that. right? Most people gonna do it out of duress, right? When our power is Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, the one that's controlling the whole system, right? Who set this whole thing in motion. Is our power is Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. That's what we ought to worship and wait and wait patiently and also seek, right? And especially in these times of trouble. You know, we shouldn't run to Esau, but a lot of people will. And if they do, they're going to be doomed for death. It says, and the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture into a cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels in the presence of the Lamb. And that fire and brimstone is the nuclear missiles. That sign, that chip in your head or in your forehead is a sign that you belong to Esau and not the Most High. So guess what? The Lord is destroying Esau and his system. So you're going to be destroyed right along with it. Right in front of the angels and right in front of the Lamb. Right? And the elect, which are also angels. Right? So it says, let me go back. Where else I at? Right? So I looked this up. Okay? I looked this up I asked this question in the chat. I said, how has President Trump's stance on the digital revolution? It should have been changed. What has he changed what has he changed his stance on? How far away is America from a total digital changeover, even with CBDCs and a market of beasts? It says, how has President Trump's stance on digital revolution evolved, especially regarding crypto, CBDCs, and digital assets? It says Trump also early position his first term. Trump was highly skeptical of cryptocurrencies in 2019. He stated, Bitcoin seems like a scam, calling cryptos not money, and warning they could facilitate illegal activity. And it ain't money. At least that's true. His current position, which is the second term, Trump has dramatically reversed his stance. Now his administration is explicitly pro-crypto. See, we just said that. And you just saw his son say that he what? What did his son say? His son said that his dad embraced the digital revolution. He's embraced it, which he's always embraced it. Right? He just played the people. Because a lot of people had issues with it. And most people still don't even understand what central bank digital currencies are and digital assets. And they know that. That's why they don't talk about it like that, so you can understand it. Right? It says Trump has dramatically reversed his stance. Now his administration is explicitly pro-crypto. Executive orders and legislation he signed, Executive Order 14178 on January 23rd, 2025, so 3 days after he got into office, which bans, he said he signed an executive order which bans federal agencies from creating, issuing, or promoting a U.S. CBDC, and directs forming a working group to create a regulatory framework for digital assets within 180 days. Crypto leadership. He pledged to make the U.S. the crypto capital of the world, promoting responsible growth of blockchain and digital assets. And I remember this woman, she was at the WEF forum, and she was talking about blockchain, and she was so excited about this new form of accounting, right? Because this is going to be so accurate and it's going to be so clear, right? You ain't going to be able to drop a purse off a truck and sell it on the black market. That purse is going to be tracked and traced from the time that it's created to the time that it's getting shipped to the time that it lands to the place that it's supposed to be sold and to who it sold it to. All of that information is going to be able to be found through the new purchasing system, right? That's going to be attached to this what they call it, a blockchain. So anyway, it says Genius Act and crypto bills. The newly enacted Genius Act establishes regulatory standards for stablecoins. There are also the Clarity Act, clarifying SEC versus CFTC oversight, and the Anti-CBDC Surveillance State Act, opposing a U.S. CBDC, all passed or advanced in Congress. crypto reserves. Trump signed orders to create strategic Bitcoin reserve and a U.S. digital asset stockpile, positioning digital assets alongside traditional government reserves, policy shift in agencies. His appointment of crypto-friendly officials, SEC Chair Paul Atkins disbanded the Department of Justice crypto enforcement team and dropping the regulatory actions against major exchanges like Coinbase, Kraken, Ripple, and others illustrate a clear deregulatory push. Conflict of interest concerns. The Trump family's direct ties to crypto via ventures like World Liberty Financial and the Trump meme coin have raised ethical questions about his policy shaping, overlapping financial interests. Summary: Trump's stance shifted from dismissive to aggressively pro-crypto, opposing any form of government-controlled digital currency. Yeah, he say that now, but it's gonna have to be controlled. It ain't gonna be controlled by the government. It's gonna be controlled by the feds, right? The Federal Reserve in our country, which is those private banks, right? That's why he said that. So he basically outlawed the government from creating its own coin or his own dollar, digital dollar, unless it's backed by them banks. That's what he did, right? Just like when Lincoln tried to create the greenbacks, that was going to go against the bankers, and they smoked him for that. They got him up out of here for that, because they wanted to own the private bank in America that distributes their money. Right? Trump talks all this talk about Powell. I believe that's his guy name. His last name is Powell. And both of them work on the same page. It's just a show. It's a dog and pony show for the people. Right? But he can't fire that guy. Just like he talked about firing a black lady that worked for the Fed. She tapped all the way in with them Rothschilds. You can't fire her. Right? Because it's not a government agency. The Federal Reserve is not a government agency, but the Federal Reserve dictates policy when it comes to U.S. economics, right? So let me skip down to this. How far is America from a digital? Because I want you to see this, right? I'm gonna read through this. Don't fall for the scheme, because the next question that I ask going to totally destroy all of this. But anyway, it says, how far is America from a total digital changeover, including CBDCs, and what about the market of beast idea? The U.S. is moving away from CBDC adoption, largely due to Trump's executive orders and aligned legislation. The Federal Reserve has been in early research stages, publishing a discussion paper in 2021, holding public consultations, but no concrete launch underway. Experts believe a digital dollar is still several years away, given necessary technical, legal, and political groundwork, pilot legislations, and public acceptance. Globally, the other major economies are accelerating digital currency efforts, like China's digital yuan, Europe's progressing digital euro, right? And it's the same thing Alex Jones said, not Alex Jones, it's the same thing that Aaron Russo said to Alex Jones. He said that all of these different countries, he talked about the Amero, right? He talked about the euro, right? The Amero was supposed to unite all of the American continent, from north, central, and south. That's what it was supposed to do, but they never came around to it. But this new digital system, that's what's going to be, right? And nobody can get rich in the new digital system, right? You see, in this society today, anybody can get money, right? In FRNs, and you can hold it and stockpile it. Nobody really knows how much you really got. In the new system, you're not going to be able to do that. There's no social mobility and social or economic mobility in a new system. It's either you have it or you don't. That's it, right? It says, total digital changeover in the market of beast concept. No credible policy or legal movement in the U.S. toward mandatory CBDC or universal digital ID enforcement. It says conspiracies linked fears like the market of beasts interpreted as a digital mandate or a control via currency are not based on an actual government proposal. And you're not going to see that. They ain't going to tell you that. At this time, the U.S. is quite far from, this is what I wanted. At this time, the U.S. is quite far from any digital overhaul of its monetary system. Even basic use of a digital dollar in everyday life remains hypothetical and years away. Now check this out. Check this out. I ask this question. What if an existential economic crisis happens in America? How fast would a digital dollar be implemented? That's a very sharp question, because in normal times, the U.S. is many years away from a digital dollar. But a true existential economic crisis could change the calculus dramatically. Let me break it down. It says normal timeline versus crisis timeline. And this is a part of the video that I hope you brothers are listening to, because check this out. Under normal timeline, under current Federal Reserve research and pilot programs, experts estimate 5 to 10 years horizon for any official U.S. CBDC central digital currency. This involves legislation, infrastructure, banking sectors, integration, and public adoption. Under the crisis timeline, in a severe financial meltdown, currency collapse, systematic bank failures, hyperinflation, or massive liquidity crisis, timelines could compress to months, not years. So they're within months. This is what Apostle Tahar been telling us. This thing can happen within months, where they just warp speed into this new digital era, right? It says, in a severe financial meltdown, currency collapse, systemic bank failures, hyperinflation, or a massive liquidity crisis, timelines could compress to months, not years. Emergency powers like the Defense Production Act and Emergency Executive Authority, which I believe Pete Hegseth was excited about the Defense Production Act, right? But anyway, or Emergency Executive Authority could be used to bypass normal debate and fast-track development. Historical precedents. So now we have precedents to show you how overnight they could change anything, right? The Great Depression in the 1930s, FDR closed banks for a week, bank holiday, and mandated gold surrender under executive order. Big monetary shifts happened within days to weeks once the government acted. In the 19 crisis, emergency stimulus checks went out quickly, and Congress debated digital wallets and distributed relief funds. A crisis nearly triggered digital dollar test runs. You see? In 2008, the financial crisis, the $700 billion TARP bailout and Fed emergency lending programs were rolled out in weeks after markets froze. This shows in crisis mode, the government can and does roll out major financial systems very fast. You see how the digital dollar could be rushed. If a deep economic collapse happens, the digital dollar could be implemented in phases. Phase 1, emergency authorization from 0 to 1 month. Congress and the president via emergency powers could authorize a Fed Treasury to launch a temporary digital dollar pilot for stability. Phase 2, rapid distribution could take from 1 month to 90 days or 3 months. The U.S. could issue digital wallets or accounts directly to citizens through existing IRS taxpayer infrastructure, Social Security and VA payment systems, banking partners, or Fed accounts. Number 3, it says full integration could take from 3 months to 12 months. Retail payments roll out via smartphone apps. Commercial banks required to support CBDC transactions. Possible limits on cash used to push adoption. Realistically, within 6 to 12 months of a severe crisis, a functional but possibly imperfect U.S. digital dollar could exist. Obstacles to instant change. Even in crisis, challenges exist. Tech infrastructure, building a secure CBDC scale in weeks, hacks, fraud, politics, strong opposition. Well, that's why what's going to happen is they're going to go from the digital wallets, right, to that chip. They want the hacks to happen. They want the fraud to happen. Just like what happened during the 19. All them damn PPP loans went out. They knew massive fraud was about to happen. And that was on purpose. Right? All the people acting like they got businesses, they ain't had no businesses, niggas spending all this money taking trips, getting BBLs and all this other bullshit, spending money on high-end shit and buying cars and shit. right? They knew that was going to happen. They wanted it to happen. And so it's going to be the same thing with the system. Politics, strong opposition. Trump's executive ban anti-CBDC Act and state resistance could slow adoption unless the crisis is existential. Public trust. Many Americans distrust government-issued digital money. A rush rollout could spark backlash unless tied to immediate survival needs. Listen to this. Unless tied to immediate survival needs. Food, shelter, unemployment relief. All is going to happen during Jacob's trouble. Right? Right? And that's going to be that new chip. And then I asked this question. Well, let me read this. It says, bottom line, if America faced an existential financial collapse, a digital dollar could go from concept to deployment in 6 to 12 months instead of 5 to 10 years. With emergency powers overriding opposition, the rollout could likely begin as a survival tool. You see? And that's what's going to happen because people going to want to, people don't have no faith, especially the people, our people. 2/3 of you Israelites out there, you ain't going to have no faith. So your faith going to be in the system. Right? And so you're going to run straight to this man for survival. But our survival rests on Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. His word. And his word. It says, instead of 5 to 10 years with emergency powers overriding opposition, the rollout will likely begin as a survival tool. Stimulus payments stabilize the markets, but it could expand rapidly into a full monetary reset, and that's what they want. That's the ball game. They want the financial reset. They want it. And then I asked this question could an RFID microchip implanted under the skin be used for digital ID payments and health records? Yes. Yes, in principle. An RFID, radio frequency identification, or NFC, near field communication microchip implanted under the skin could be programmed to carry and transmit digital information for uses like ID, payments, health, and data. In fact, some experimental projects and small-scale voluntary uses already exist. Here's the breakdown. How could it work? Digital ID. The chip could store unique identifiers like a digital wallet address or a cryptographic key. That number that links back to your verified identity in a secure database. When scanned, it could authenticate you similarly to tapping a smartphone or contactless payments. And that's part of that. Remember, the contactless payments and smartphone shit, that was all part of the gradualization. Payments, just as today, contactless cards and phones use NFC technology. A chip could hold payment credentials linked to a bank account or digital wallet. Tapping your hand against a reader could authorize transactions. Health records. The chip could store a small set of medical information, and more detailed records could likely stay on a secure server with the chip acting as a key to access them. Current examples, Sweden. Thousands of people have voluntarily had NFC chips implanted into their hands since the mid-2010s. They use them for opening office doors, boarding trains, and making small payments. Medical implants. Some RFID chips are FDA approved in the U.S. for patient identification and can be scanned in hospital systems. Pets. Microchipping animals has long been a standard for identification, though those are usually passive RFID, no power, just a serial number. Limitations, storage, security. If poorly designed, the data could be cloned or hacked. Consent and control. The biggest debate is around privacy, surveillance, and autonomy. Who controls the data? The super elite, the bankers. Can it be deactivated or restricted? Yes. Yes, it can and will be. What did Aaron Russo say? Aaron Russo had it. Right? That ain't no damn conspiracy theory. It's happening. And it ain't come from Aaron Russo. It came from Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. It's in the scriptures. It was written thousands of years before it happened. Could it be used for tracking or restricting buying, like you mentioned earlier? Health risks. Implantation is a minor surgical procedure. Risks include infection, migration under the skin and or rejection. That grievous sore. Future outlook, technology, it's already possible today. Practically widespread adoption is unlikely without massive trust and legal frameworks. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. So, you know, you seeing this. You seeing where we at, man. You seeing where we at, man. We there. And it talked about an existential crisis happening. Well, that's going to happen. And so that I'm going to say shalom on to the next. Hey, shalom. Shalom.